Okay, let's talk about it. God made none of us perfect. Forgive your parents. Look, here's the bottom line. God made none of us perfect. And understand that your parents were born before you, right? So that means that they had a, I'm going to say 16, because some people have babies at 16. They had a 16 to 24, 25, even 30-year lifespan before you were even born. Can you imagine some of the things that they went through from the time they were born until they gave birth to you? Oh, you don't know. Now, in my younger years, when I was going through the things that I was going through, I felt like I shouldn't be going through. Matter of fact, I felt like my mother could not possibly be my mother. Especially when I saw how other kids' mothers just was lovey-dovey and loved them and smooched them and, just loved them. And I didn't have that. So I thought to myself, this lady can't be my mother. She's so mean to me. Right now, today, I can laugh and joke about it, but that's because I have a more understanding as an adult myself and as a mother myself. I have a more understanding of what she may have went through in her younger years. And then just like I said, growing up around my family and just watching the behaviors and just certain things that are said and done. As a child, you don't understand it. You know what I mean? You kind of go with it because that's your family. You know what I mean? These people that supposed to take care of you and love you and look, I have your best interest at heart, right? But as you get older, you start realizing, hey, my mother's life wasn't peaches and cream either. Now, whether that was by her own choice or whether she was born into a mess, you know what I mean? And for some of us, it's our father, I love both of my parents, but they both came with issues. Trust and believe that, okay? But my disconnection was mostly with my mother. And I love her dearly, and I think everybody loves their parents, no matter what their parents do to them. That's the person that God connected you with, especially your mother, because that's the person that carried you for 9 months, right? So this shirt means a lot to me, and I hope that once you do your self-development and personal growth, that you are able to do this. Forgive your parents. And I sport this t-shirt. As a matter of fact, I have another one just like this with rhinestones, and it's on my back. So like when people walking behind me and the shirt says forgive your parents, it gives them something to think about. Like some people are like, well, why should I forgive my parents? You know what I mean? They supposed to have been smarter, but that's not always true. Okay, that they were smart. They may have been older, but they may have not had the possession of learning how to love. Excuse me. And knowing how to give that love to you. Bottom line. We all make mistakes. And as a parent myself, I have made mistakes. Okay? And I didn't really realize it till later on in life, until my kids were grown, that I made mistakes, and I want my kids to forgive me. So, and that's not where this message came from. This message came from me actually doing personal development on myself, watching my parents, growing older, looking at life different, looking at what they may have been through. Excuse me. Looking at what they may have been through as children, teenagers, and young adults. Looking at their parents. Looking at their siblings. Looking at what they may have been facing. Now, you know your parents' story. I'm sure most of you know your parents' story. Okay, so I've heard stories from my mother. I've heard stories from her siblings. You know what I mean? I've heard stories from her parents. But my mother's story is the one that I am most focused on. Okay? I'm not going to get deep into that because we all come from different backgrounds and we all have different stories. So what I am asking you today is to forgive your parents, because God made none of us perfect and we're all going to make mistakes. We're all going to. We all have made mistakes. And sometimes those mistakes are made from mental illness. You know what I mean? From mental illness, from a person that is not quite stable. For whatever reason that is, don't hold a grudge. Because when you hold a grudge, you are hurting who? Yep, you. You know why? Because you attract things to you that you don't want. Because you're holding that. Do you know how much energy it takes to hold anger and pain inside? I heard this saying one time. I'm not quite sure who said it. But forgiveness is not for us. Excuse me. Forgiveness is not for the other person. It's for us, okay? When you forgive somebody, it lightens your being. You can kind of flow through life a little bit easier. That anger is not sitting on your shoulder and in your heart. Let it go. And I know some people are saying that's easy for me to say. No, that is not easy for me to say, honey. Trust and believe. I had to do some work. But I'm one of them type of people that I'm an Aquarius. I mean, I know some people don't believe in horoscopes and zodiac signs, but I do. You know what I mean? I do. And Aquarius is a very honest people. And we do not hold grudges. At least most of them don't. Maybe 5% of them do, and maybe 5% of them are liars. But the other 95% of us are honest people, and we are forgiving people. So I say that to say, forgive, but don't forget. Okay? Forgive, but don't forget, because your pain has some kind of strength behind it. If you allow that strength to live through you, so that you can be of some type of inspiration and encouragement to others. Now, mind you, through my journey, I have seen people. This is how funny life is. We attract who we are. A lot of my girlfriends that I have connection with or had connection with growing up as a teenager and into adulthood, have had some kind of disconnection with their moms. They've had trauma. They've had hurt and pain. Because that's what I drew to me, because that is who I was. That is who I was. And me trying to fit into certain circles, trying to get away from that image, from that persona of the hurt little girl, trying to fit in with the cool kids, that never worked for me. That never worked for me. I've always felt different. I've always felt special. I've always felt special. I'm a special girl. Yes, I am. And I knew that being disconnected from these people, well, not then, back then, you know, it was a lot of pain for me. But as I got older, I started realizing that, hey, I'm different. I don't think like these people. I don't want to even live the life that they live in, all that party hardy and all that stuff. I didn't want that. You know, I wanted a life of, you know, I came from poverty, and that's something that you don't see when you're little, that you come from poverty, because you little, you don't understand. It's just what you was born into. But I knew that I was the type of person that wanted more out of life. I wanted to be a better mother, you know. And I can say I was a better mother, but I made mistakes, okay? I made mistakes that called for my kids to forgive me, okay? They weren't as traumatic as, you know, what I went through, but we all make mistakes, all right? So anyway, yeah, when you realize that you are different and you stand out a little different, and believe it or not, that's the way God made you. You know why? Because He has something special for you to do. He has a gift that He wants you to give to others. Because just like your mothers and your father were born 16 to 30 years before you, the same is going to happen for you. Your kids, you are born 16 to 30 years before your kids. You know what I mean? So that means you have to teach them something. You have to teach the new generation something, and so on and so forth. And that's how life goes. Okay? So the message here again is forgive your parents, because I know sometimes I can get a little off track, but I'm trying to stay within the room. And that's R. Never mind, even try to spell it. Anyway, forgive your parents, okay? They are people too. They are people too. That's all I can say. We are all humans. And we all make mistakes. And we're not here forever. So don't go through your whole life living in pain. God knows I see it every day. I see it in some of the people that are closest to me. They still living in pain from when they was 5 years old. They still carry that. And the first thing that you can do to start healing is to forgive your parents. All right? Well, I'm going to go now. Y'all have a great day. Love you all. See you on the next video.